All right, so we're ready to keep moving on with our simple app using React Router. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use the routes and route as part of our component tree, and that's going to essentially enable us to use multiple pages. Okay, so let's come back over here to our app.js file. And so the first thing that we want to do is we want to utilize routes and route. We have our products in our app.js. So we got those in okay. All right. And now we're ready to create these pages. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this above my importing of use state use effect. I'm going to import routes and route from React Router DOM. So it's going to be import. And again, I'm destructuring React Router DOM. So I'm going to import routes with an S and then route without an S from React router DOM. So importing routes with an S and route from React Router DOM. And again, these are components, so they're capitalized like we have here. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to build out a header, and I'm going to build out a footer, and then we're going to we're going to set everything up inside of routes and route. Okay. So this is a good start right here. Let's go ahead and start up a header component and a footer component. So I'm going to come over here to components, create a header.js, and I'm also going to do a footer.js. So I've got a header and footer. I'm going to start with header. I make sure that I am in header. And I'm going to say const header. And I'm going to return a header component. I'm going to give it a class name, header. Give it an ID of header. Inside of there, I'm going to make a div with a class name container. And inside of that container, I'm just going to do an h1, give a class name, say display -1. I'll do text center, I suppose, and text -capitalize. These things aren't necessary. It's just some styling, just to get it look a certain way. And I'll say my store. That's it for the header. And as always, do not forget to export default the header. Just a simple header. We can always add other stuff to it, but this is just something real basic right here. Gonna go over here to footer. I'm gonna go ahead and make my footer as well. So this is gonna be const footer. I'm going to return. I'm going to do a footer component. Footer element. Give it a class name. Footer. Give it an ID of footer. It too shall have a div with a class name container. And I'm going to do my colophon in here. So, you know, that's me. That's my me. I should add my logo to this. Say that for another day. So yeah, I've added, you know, my colophon. You just add something in there, you know, cite by whatever your name is, you know, just let, you know, gotta let people know. Let them know that, you know, this is your work. You did it, right? And lastly, export default footer. Okay. So it doesn't have to be this elaborate, and this isn't really elaborate, but it doesn't have to be all this. You just want something displayed, okay, so that we'll have an actual header and footer. All right. So that's done. I'm going to come over here to app, and I'm just going to import my header and footer. So import header. I'm going to import footer. And what I'm going to do is remove this React Router demo. Just going to add my header component. And then add my footer component. Oh, I can't do it like that. Why can't I do it like this? What's the problem? Right, I need one parent. Very good. So I'm going to move that header and footer here inside of some fragments. You didn't go over. There you go. And now that works. Okay. And when I come over here and look and see what we got here, there it is. Yes. All right. So we're setting it up, okay? And what I also am going to build is my home page and about page. This is going to be even simpler, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here to components again. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it from my terminal this time. So I'm in my present working directory, which is the React Router demo. That's where I need to be. So now I'm going to touch source. You can do it this way or do it inside of Visual Studio Code. It does not matter, but you're just creating two files, actually two components. So they need to go in your components folder. You're going to make a home.js and an about.js. Those are the two we're going to start with, okay? So source/components/home.js and then source/components/about.js. So I'm going to make those two files. I like to do it here inside of my terminal. That's the land that I like to live in when I can, because it's a challenge for me, and it's not just easy, okay? But working in the terminal, doing the commands this way, even though it has been difficult for me, has made me much more comfortable in using it and understanding those commands. And so that's the reason why I do it. I usually like to take the hard route, the longest route to get somewhere, because it makes it more challenging for me. Because if I can do the long way, short way is going to be nothing. That's your lesson for today. So here we go. My home component. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say const home. And I'm just going to return. I'm going to return a main element, give the class name of main. And I'm going to, inside of there, I'm going to do a div with a class name container. And I'm going to add an H2 that just says home. Just that simple. That's all it's going to be. And going to export default home. Real simple. Again, once you understand how these things are linked together and how they're connected, that component can be filled with whatever, all the most glorious pieces of code that you can imagine, whatever your imagination takes you. Here, we're learning how to connect these pieces together, not necessarily build something out that's production quality. So I've done that. Here's my home. I'm going to make it real easy for myself. I'm just going to copy that component, the entire component, come over here to about, paste it, and then just change wherever I see home, change it to about. Because again, the about page, you can obviously add all kinds of images and text, um, whatever on there. But just for this, just going to have something displayed so we can see how it changes. All right, so I got that. I got my home component. I have my about component. Those are done. Now I can come over here into app and I'm going to import those components. So right here, import home and import about. They also, again, go inside of your app component. All right. So what we've done so far with React is we know that, I can export a component and then import it somewhere else. And then I can come over here and say I can add, I can add that component. So home right here and about right here. I could do that, right? And it would look like this, okay? And that's not what I want to do now. Now I want to be able to have different locations, different paths, if you will, okay? So how can we do that? Here we're going to now utilize our routes and route component that we got from React Router DOM when we install React Router DOM. Now I'll be able to use this, okay? And that is going to happen in here. We're going to set all of our individual route components inside of the route component. So the routes with an S component is going to be the parent component to all of our routes. So I simply just make a routes component like so. And this one, as you can see, is opening and closing. All right. I'm going to remove this home and about right here. Go ahead and get that out of the way. So I have my routes component, and you see that it opens and closes as such. And now I can put my individual route components inside, okay? And these route components, let me go ahead and show you what it looks like. These route components have two props. They'll have the path and they'll have the element. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Oh, let me close this up. So these, you have the route component, and again, it has two props for starter. You have the path, or in other words, what is the path like if in the URL address bar? What is the pathing up here in the address bar that the user chose or typed in? That's the path. And the second one is the element. What do we want to render? All right, so let's do it. I'm going to say route path, and this home page is going to be my root path, if you will. This is the home location for this app, And to signify that, I just put a slash. So the path is going to be slash. And what this means here in our development environment is going to be localhost 3000. Localhost 3000 is going to open up the home page. So path, and then I can say element. And the element, I'm going to open up my curly braces, and let's see how it works. I can make an H1 right here, and I can say, haha. Okay, and then I make sure outside the curly braces, I'm going to close up my route, my root route, if you will. Let me nest that over. And there you see, haha, right? So it works. So localhost 3000 is going to be, again, my root path. And right now it's displaying haha. But I don't want it to do that. What do I want it to do? Come on, you guys know this. What do I want it to do? But which one in particular? Yeah, I want this one to link to home. So I'm going to remove this haha foolishness, and I'm just going to drop in my home component. And look at there. There's home. Cool. Fantastic. So we should be able to do the same thing with about. So I'm going to open up my route component. And then here on my path, I can specify what I want the path to be. I'm going to say /about because it takes me to the about page. I don't want to confuse the user, so make it as generic as possible. And then the element is going to be what? Yeah, my about component. And so, and I'll always forget to do this. Make sure I close up my route as well. So there is my path taking to home and about. So right now, localhost 3000, as I can see here, takes to about. Now, if I come over here and I slash about and hit enter, and now I'm on my about page. You did it. Yay. Pat yourself on the back. If you didn't get it to work, check your spelling. Make sure that you exported your components as well as imported your components as well. Also, with our header, we can probably create some links inside of there that will, so I won't have to say, localhost 3000 / about. Maybe I have a link that will take me to the about page, or another one that will take me to the store that we want to create. So maybe we can add that. And as a matter of fact, let's do that right now. So let's come over, but we see how it works. Okay. So again, with the route component, you have two props. You have path and the element. The path is what is the what did the user type in? Okay. Localhost 3000, localhost 3000 / about for right now. And the second prop is the element. What is it that I want to render? All right. So with that being said, let's come over here to home. And so with home, what we're going to do is we're going to add some links. So we'll make a navigation. I could just do a nav component, and normally that's what I do. I'll just make I'll put a nav component inside of my header. Matter of fact, that's where I need to be, not home. I need to be over here in header. But I would normally just make a nav component and just drop it right in there. I'm not going to do that right now just for the sake of just going through this lesson. But what we will do, we need to figure out how to handle links, because with React, when we're navigating within the application, we don't want to use an anchor tag. Okay, we use the anchor tags in React for when we're navigating somewhere outside of the web app to another web app, if you will. But here we are going to use the link component. So I'm going to say import link, and we also need outlet, but we'll save that for later. So I'm going to import link from React Router DOM. This is another React Router component here. And what we'll do is, so I'm going to have 3 links. One is going to take me back to the home page. One's going to take me to the about page, and one that's going to take me to the store. Okay. So right now we have this H1 reads my store. So now underneath it, I'm going to make a UL. And matter of fact, I'm going to do a nav with a class name nav. Yeah, let's use some Bootstrap. And let's also say justify content end. Let's do that. And so here, now I can add my links, okay? And I'm going to create a link component. And this link component has one prop that it needs, and that is to. What are we linking to? And this here must match, the to prop must match with the path for route. Okay, so for example, if we want to go to the home page, well, right now in our app, we said the path is /. So if we want to link to the home page, this also needs to be /. Close that up, and then I'm going to just type in home. Okay, and do the same thing for about. For right now, we'll come back to the store. So this would be /about, because this is taking me to the about component. And I'll type in about. And let's see what it looks like. Oh, they're all smacked together. I'll tell you what, let's do this instead. No, we don't need deflex. Good question, though, because nav has built-in deflex in it. But the nav component also likes anchor tags to go inside. So what I'll do instead is, instead of making this a nav, I'm going to make this a UL. Oh. Well. And then inside of the UL, we must have a what? LI, there you go. Y'all are on it. So we're going to say LI and give it a class name. nav-item. I'm going to drop that first link component in there. Oh. Far. Yep. And then I'll do the other one, li class name nav-item. I'm going to drop that link component in there. Cool. And let me see what it looks like now. Oh, it's still smacked together. Oh, let's see. Oh no. Let's see. What? Let me just change justify content around. There we go. Okay. So now if I click on home, it takes me to the home component. If I click on about, it takes to the about component. Cool. It's working. So this is the main thing. Okay. Again, we need that link component, and it has a to prop, and that to prop needs to match with the respective path prop in our route component. That's where it knows where to go. Okay. Let me go back to header. So now we have something that works. Okay, we have set up a route tree. Okay, with the routes component and the route component, and we also created links for it, so that when we click on these links, it doesn't go to a new page, if you will. What it does is it renders a different component. It looks like and behaves like we are opening up a new page. But what we're really doing is we're just rendering, we're deciding which component to render. Okay. And that's like the fascinating thing about React, because we don't have all these different pages. We have really one page, and we are saying, hey, which component do we want to be rendered? So that's how that works. We're going to keep moving with this. The next thing that we're going to do is start working on our store, so we can take these products that we have and generate it in the store. And then following that, we'll figure out how to click on a single item, and it will open up a single page. Okay. So that is what we are going to do in the next video.